hello. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's joined us online for Henley and Partners' 16th Annual Global Citizenship Conference. My name's Juliet Foster, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our panelists for this next session, which is focused on the education landscape post-COVID. Now, it's clear that access to high-quality global education during the pandemic has been unequal. While some schools and universities were able to switch to online and blended learning very easily, others struggle to offer even adequate provision. Well, this has seen high net worth and ultra high net worth parents place education as one of the key factors to consider when deciding on investment migration programs. Joining me online is John Milne, who's the Group Head of Henley and Partners Education, Ashwin Assomull, who's a partner at L.E.K Consulting, Alex McGrath, founder and CEO of Castlegate Education, and Barry Cooper, the founding principal of the Global College in Madrid. Gentlemen, it's very good to see you and welcome. John Milne, let me start with you first. Henley and Partners Education is a new service, also one that's highly anticipated and available to Henley and Partners clients. What is it that it offers?
Thanks, Juliet. Well, Henley and Partners Education was formed out of the number of clients that we were noticing post-COVID who were seeking high-quality, world-class education for their children. Many of these clients had children in country in international schools, and because of the disruption of the pandemic, the online and face-to-face education was highly unsatisfactory. And so many parents were forced into thinking, where can I find an alternative that provides my child with that stability of education and continuity of education? And so in forming Henley and Partners Education, we've created a model through which ultra high net worth individuals and high net worth individuals can work with very skilled experts in schools and universities placement around the world, particularly in the educational hotspots of Australia, New Zealand, the US, Canada, Europe, and the UK.
Ashwin Assomull, let me turn now to you, because L.E.K Consulting provides specialist consultancy services to the global education industry. And from your experience of working with schools and universities globally, what have you identified as the challenges for these institutions so that they can adjust to the post-COVID education landscape and at the same time future-proof their delivery?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting question, one that's being debated by a whole host of operators and experts across the world. I think one of the things that we see in the context of folks migrating for education and wanting to study abroad, away from where they're based, is actually a lack of really high quality spaces. So if you look at what's been happening in universities in the UK and the US, the top quality institutions haven't really expanded seats, but as the application numbers have gone up considerably. That's the same thing that we see in top quality schools. And there's a real scramble still to get into the British public school system, which is still seen as a beacon of quality. And lots of businesses have been set up around that to help folks make that move and advise them on the right schools and universities. So actually the issue is one around quality supply and demand post the pandemic. I think everyone recognized, having done a fair amount of online schooling and studied online as students, as higher education students, that the best way to go is back to traditional bricks and mortar education. And in those quality institutions, there's a lack of supply and there's a lot of demand.
And Alex McGrath, let's pick up on that issue of quality, because obviously it's going to vary in different schools. But why does the leadership, the teaching, and indeed the learning differ so much between schools? And why is it so often good, better in international schools and universities?
Well, thanks, Juliet. Yes, it's an interesting one. We're talking here about a very globally mobile group of parents who are looking for solutions for their children, and also adults looking for high quality universities. I think one of the red herrings is the word international on a school, or if a school calls itself the British School of so-and-so or the American School of so-and-so. That's not really necessarily a badge of quality. I think what parents need to do is ask very discerning questions about the leadership. Really look online at the people who lead these schools. Where have they led schools before? Find out what the curriculum is on offer, and especially the outcomes, the destinations that the students go to, and also I think the questions like the churn of teachers that happen in the schools and so on. There's such a broad range of curricula out there now. I think it's a buyer's market, really. There's plenty of choice, but that choice tends to be centered in particular areas of excellence, and where the regulator has been very stringent in making sure that these schools become the best of the best, and holding them to account. So I think there's it's all about asking the right questions.
Let's follow on from that, Barry Cooper, because look, you are the founding principal of an exciting forward-thinking college. So from your perspective, what should outstanding modern international schools look like, given some of the issues or the questions, in fact, that parents need to ask, as Alex pointed out?
For me, I think the parents need to be asking exactly the questions that Alex is highlighting, and digging deep into what the schools do. It's fine to have a beautiful campus, and it's fine to have the word British international school stamped on the front of the gate. But once you get inside the gates, what are you seeing? Are you seeing an individualized approach to the children? Are you seeing technology used with a purpose? Are you seeing a school that's learning the lessons of COVID and using the technology that we've all now got at our fingertips in the right way? Are you seeing a school that is putting the pedagogy first and leaving the for show second? Are you seeing a school that honestly is putting the child at the center of the conversation? I think you also need to ask yourself, where are the skills coming from? It's all well and good to have a great curriculum, and that can be British, it can be IB. I'm a big fan of the IB. But what other skills are those students developing? What kinds of extension, how ambitious is the school for the children? And then start to ask questions about the staff. My personal approach is, when we're looking for staff, when we're looking for team members, we're looking for people who offer more than just what's happening in the classroom. So here at the Global College, we have former bankers, we have people who work for the UN, we have people who are engineers at CERN, we have former Oxford dons, we've got people who have come from different parts of the world and bring with them not just their subject experience, but also an experiential, the experience of the world for the young people in their classrooms.
Ashwin, Assomull, what we've heard just now is what modern international schools should look like in the present. But in your opinion, what does quality education of the future look like? In fact, what should it look like going forward?
I wish I had some kind of amazingly futuristic answer for you, but the answer is very simple, and Barry and Alex have both alluded to it. It's just outcomes. Why do you pay very high fees at a top British boarding school or an American boarding school? It's because you get the outcomes, and the outcomes are places in the top universities, or in the universities that is right for the child, and all of the things that go with that: the teaching and learning, the pastoral care, the career guidance, the support, and that's what quality education looks like at the K-12 level. In higher education, again, it's outcomes, but it's outcomes based on ensuring that the student gets a job that is commensurate with the outlay that has been paid for the fees, right? So when you pay whatever $300,000-$400,000 on a Harvard MBA, you will come out with a job that gives you a payback within 2.5 to 3 years, and that's why it makes sense. So quality education must and always focus on outcomes. I think too often in some of the markets that we've looked at, the focus is on infrastructure and having something innovative, but actually it all stems down to outcomes, which comes back to what Barry and Alex mentioned, which is around the quality of the teaching and learning and the support services around that.
It's a fair point that's been raised just there, Alex McGrath. But look, as you rightly pointed out, parents need to ask lots of questions. But if you had to pin this down, What are the key questions they should be asking when they're considering the best options for their child's education? Because there is so much they have to consider. And at the end of the day, what tilts it will be the answers to some key points that they can feel comfortable with.
Well, Juliet, I think one of the key things, first of all, is parents need to have a very open mind. We've all been to school ourselves, okay? So we all have an idea of what we think a fantastic school or university is. But actually, most of us who are parents went there 20, 30 or more years ago. Things have changed. So I think one of the key questions is my child going to be happy in this institution? Or if you're an adult learner, am I going to get what I need from this institution? And happiness is important because actually, when you think about it, you know, if you're happy, you're more engaged, you're more comfortable with your studies, you're more motivated. And so I think knowing what the child is good at, what their interests are, where they want to go in their life, it enables you to ask those kind of questions of the school leaders that you meet or the admissions tutors you meet to make sure that you're aligning your family values, where you want to go with the future, with actually what that school can provide. So you're looking now at schools which are really listening to this. They're trying to prepare children for a modern world, trying to prepare young people for a world which, you know, jobs that haven't been invented yet is the cliche that's often used, but is a real one. And so what are they doing really to help these students build the skills of resilience, adaptability, teamwork, and collaboration, the things that they'll need in the world ahead? And how are they engaging them in their studies? What fantastic opportunities are they giving the students to really enjoy their experience?
And Barry Cooper, in this conversation, we've been looking at things really from the perspective of the parents and the overall concept of this education system. But what about the student? What should the experience of students be like when they're accessing high quality education?
It's about students experiencing opportunities to learn all of these key skills. Here we frame it under the idea of entrepreneurship, but resilience, teamwork, creativity, all of these parts of an education that are not necessarily there immediately in a classroom, but need to be there as part of the overall holistic package for students today. I think students, when they're going to a great quality international school, need to be in a multicultural environment. They need to be leaving that school with 3 languages, and absolutely 3 languages. It shouldn't be a case of one and a half. They should be thinking about communication going into the future. They should be leaving with a sense of understanding where it is they're going. They should be leaving with the confidence and the skills to approach not just university study, but then the outside world. Great international schools burst the bubble for young people and expose them to the opportunities that lay outside, but also the challenges, and give them the tools to deal with that. I think, as I said before, the experience of young people in great schools should be individualized. Every student should be known by their teachers, but also every student should, at the end of their time there, know who they are and where they're going.
John Milne, let me put the final question to you. What are the outcomes of those children who attend the best global schools and universities? Is it inevitable that they'll have smooth access to world-shaping industries?
I think attending an international school certainly prepares young people for a rich career path, and certainly from the universities that they attend. More and more universities, as Ashwin has mentioned, are looking at the experience that they're providing to those students. And in addition to the care and attention and the academic rigor that they provide, many universities are now weaving innovation, entrepreneurship into the experience, and that extends into some of the best international schools as well. And many of them are starting to focus on sustainability and other really important global issues at this time. So in investing in international schools and in the best universities globally, what you're not necessarily guaranteeing is that they'll get the best jobs, because nobody can guarantee that. But what you're certainly preparing your child or your children for is to possess a global outlook and to possess the skills that we would all want for our children heading into what's going to be a very challenging next period of time. And I think the best international schools and the best universities are very mindful of the soft skills and the life skills and the personal skills that young people need to be resilient and to be prepared for the challenges that they will face.
There we have to leave it. Thank you all for your time and, of course, your valuable contribution to this session of Henley and Partners' 16th Annual Global Citizenship Conference, in which we unpacked the effect of the pandemic on education and how accessing quality education globally can impact children. And a big thank you as well to you, our global online audience. We appreciate your interest and your engagement.